Well, good morning, everybody. 10:30 in the morning, 2025. It's the 16th of May. It's supposed to be the next day when the negotiations are supposed to start for peace. I sat down. I ordered this beer here, and then all of a sudden they start grinding on the pavement over there, putting in some new cobblestones or something. How convenient. Drinking it. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Probably you can hear that. I hear that very well. Oh man. It's almost time to stop. Well, I hope they're going to stop pretty soon. Maybe they're just cutting some stones. I don't know. Anyway, well, oh, okay, good. Come on. Hold it down, guys. Okay. Talking about some news. The biggest news seems to be, which is very strange, I don't even know why. That tells you it's actually a good thing. When you have some nothing news, that it's the big news, I guess that's a good sign. I guess that means nothing really that bad is happening. So, one thing that's kind of suspicious, I'll get into that too, is that Ukraine doesn't seem to want to be showing up for these peace negotiations. You know, Zelensky's playing a bunch of games, and one person who's a former prime minister of Ukraine, he's coming out and he'll say why. That's towards the end of this video, but anyway, what's going all over the place is that James Comey, supposedly, he was walking along the beach, you know, looking for who sells seashells down by the seashore, and he saw something in the sand. Somebody got some seashells and it says 86-47, and he thought, ah, so he took a picture of it and he posted it on social media, and I don't know, the Trump team is going crazy on that one. I doubt that he did it, because he probably doesn't have the patience to go around looking for seashells unless he pays somebody to do it. You know, he's living the retired life, I guess now. Maybe he's got some millions. Who knows what the guy got into. I think he was probably looking for Joe Biden to sit down and have an ice cream cone and watch the ladies with him, you know, in their retirement. James Comey, former FBI director, and he's obviously one of the main people in charge of the misinformation stuff about Trump. Really big behind it. He knew it was all fake. The guy should be in prison. I mean, it's very obvious. He knows for a fact that was all fake stuff. He went right along with it. I don't know. At the behest of somebody else? Probably. Maybe Clinton's. As you know, Clinton's, that's normally their property, the FBI. They control the FBI for a long time. What was that? Who was that guy? Vince Foster, I guess. Had something to do with Hillary Clinton, and they killed him. You know, a lot of crazy stuff about the FBI and the Clintons, and of course James Comey. You know that he's tied in with all that stuff too. This James Patel, he seems to be really much against corruption. So even Tulsi Gabbard coming out with some sort of a little words about Comey and James Patel, even, or what is it, Kash Patel, excuse me. More noise. Anyway, all of this stuff, it might be some sort of a revenge sort of a deal, but it doesn't mean that he's going to jail. And 86-47, you know, get rid of Trump, that's all that means. It doesn't mean they're going to assassinate Trump. Then I guess Donald Trump Jr. and a lot of people are interpreting that, they want to assassinate Donald Trump. No. Don't let them lead you into that. So that's the big news, I guess, in the United States. Anyway, Comey responded, he deplores violence. And I guess he removed the post. He didn't remove the post because he deplores violence. He removed the post because it had gotten attention. You know? Maybe he thought that was cute. Some little way to get back at Trump for, you know, him losing his job. Like I said, I hope you guys can hear this. terrible, terrible. Listening to all this grinding. Just my luck. I sat down here and then now they're grinding on the pavement. But I have a beer to drink, so I'm stuck here. How beautiful. Okay. Seems like everybody's working against me. YouTube, even the street workers out there. Okay. Anyway, all these leftists, you know, they're talking about assassinating Trump anyway. I don't know. A lot of people, they think that's the big deal. That's been on. That's even was during Trump's first time in office there. A lot of distractions thing going on. Lady just left on her motorbike here. Okay. Okay. Another big topic of today is racism. You know, that's always a big topic lately. I guess that all started and it got really bad, I guess, during the Trump years. You know, when Trump, and it's been put out, it was put out then, and I'm pretty sure, I mean, because it's too not far-fetched, but too intricate to be fake. But not Donald Trump, Barack Obama and George Soros, you know, he's really big into that kind of stuff anyway. He's a really big supporter. And he hates Donald Trump with a passion. He said his biggest goal in life was, when Trump was the president the first time, is to get rid of Trump. And I guess even before, when Donald Trump was running, he said he's going to do everything possible to make sure that Donald Trump does not become president. I mean, these are some real knuckleheads, like, you know. And Donald Trump, his presidency turned out to be far more law-abiding than Obama's or Joe Biden's. These people, they hate the Constitution. They disobeyed it at every turn. All their people, not just Fauci. I just mentioned Fauci the other day. He lied to Congress. Oh, come on, you know. Of course, Fauci was in office during Trump's time too, doing his nastiness. So, but racism. And it was mostly gone. A lot of you are, at least around my age, that watch this. Or at least you're a lot closer. And most of you at least remember the 1980s and even the 1990s. And racism was definitely not a big thing at that time. The only time I ever, and that's not like I, you know, complained about it so much, but you know, there were jobs and I was told I can't get them unless I was black or some kind of a minority. And back in those days, even Chinese or Asian people were considered a minority. Vietnamese, Chinese, you know, you have it. But nowadays, the Chinese are more discriminated against than even the white males, you know. So in the United States, if you really want to get serious about it, the discrimination is normally against white males, you know, because there's more of them, I suppose. But anyway, racism really started to be a big deal back in the Obama times, you know. And Obama and Soros, and at least there was that one black guy that was supposed to be heading Black Lives Matter back in those days. And then there were, like I said, two bankers. I don't know if it was from the same bank or what the deal was. I don't even remember their names. I should have been writing this stuff down. You know, they had evidence putting out. But these were like some of the guys for, I guess maybe you'd call it the money laundering. That's where they get the donation. So when you donate to Black Lives Matter or who knows what, you know, all this money, and it went into these banks. And of course, it made a lot of people very rich. There was this some black woman, and she was really big in the press. I think even Candace Owens. I don't remember who it was that went to her house, knocked on the door, and there were reporters, and then she reported that they were trying to kill her or something. They just wanted to question her. They filmed it. They just knocked on her door. She wouldn't open up, so they left. And then she was reporting to the police that they were coming to kill her or some sort of thing. Anyway, she got huge, many millions of dollars, and she's buying houses in white neighborhoods. None of them are in black neighborhoods, but she was one of the, I don't know, second tier of the people in, what do you call it, in Black Lives Matter anyway. I don't know whatever happened to that guy, and I don't even know his name. To me, that's not anything that I really wanted to be studying. I don't know. the rest of you too, you might have even remembered that. I don't know. But they still try to keep this going, and it's normally the Democratic Party that is stirring up and creating this racism and stuff like that. And now you have a big revival in some of these black congresswomen, and, you know, and reparations. Reparations, a lot of that started in the country that I used to live in. One of the big leaders of that was Ralph Gonsalves, the Prime Minister. Let me see what they're doing here. I don't know if you guys can see that behind me. Where is it? For your dining pleasure. There's food here. This is actually, let me show you this. This is Saigon. And this is a really big chain store or whatever you call it, a chain restaurants in Minsk. There are, I don't know, there's probably at least 40 of these things around. And most of them are like at flea markets and places where there's a lot of people frequenting, probably very smart business people. They have these little short shops. As a matter of fact, right here there's like 3 or 4 of them, one right next to the other. So, beautiful music. I don't think YouTube is going to cut me off for that music though. Okay, what else was I going to say about this racism stuff? Anyway, there's a really big revival about that in the Democrats right now. And then they got this, what's her name? Jasmine Crockett or something like that. This, I'll get to her in a minute. But as has been well known, and I mean, like people that watch this channel are not a bunch of dummies, it's all to get votes. It's because I think the Democrats have such a terrible platform, and they're trying to make something different than the Republicans and trying to create some sort of a... They're trying to create something like a basis of getting supporters. And all this is a bunch of acting. It's a bunch of actings and making, you know, things that don't exist and creating them. LGBT, Black Lives Matter, all this kind of stuff. I mean, they just make this stuff up and then make everybody say, oh yeah, that's true. Oh, I saw that. Donald Trump is a racist and things like that. Hey, he might even be. You know, maybe a lot of these presidents were. But he's not, but unless you come up with policy, you know, that disadvantages black people or something like that, you know, he can be as racist as he wants. Same with Clinton, same with Obama. Anyway, what did Jesus say? Know them by their fruits. So, and Donald Trump, he seems to have a penchant for bombing people of different ethnic backgrounds. He's supporting Israel's right to be bombing and killing tens of thousands of Palestinians, you know, and then people that protest against that, I guess they try to lock them up. Oh, come on, why don't you just shut that machine off? Oh my God. Just the perfect situation. Probably everything is quiet everywhere except for right here where I'm making a video. I don't know. I'll tell you what, YouTube is, they sent those people there. I know that they did. They have a long fingers, they have a long reach. They have lots of tentacles in every pie. Ooh, a testicle in a pie. Ugh. Anyway. So, it's not just the racism thing, you know, but they come out with this, you know, like I said, you know, there's Black Lives Matter and there's this homo stuff. And I think right after, I don't even like to say names and things like that, people walking by. But right after Vladimir Putin came out and said something like, he made a law against the promoting homosexuality. And then, of course, the Democrats, or maybe the United States politicians, they turned that around and said, he outlawed homosexuality. And, of course, Putin knows very well you can't do that. And he probably knows a lot of them, maybe even in Russia, that are homosexual. It's not like you can outlaw such a thing. People are going to do it anyway. They're going to do it in their spare time, those that are inclined to do such things. And he outlawed the promotion And then right after that, Obama came out, and I was living in a country where it's like 96% black people, and they loved Obama. Because he's black. Oh, you know. I even forget the fact of what their people's skin color are anyway, because I'm looking at what they say and their character is something more than their skin color. I had to remember, oh yeah, Obama is black. But anyway, they liked Obama, and then when he came out with that, the country is really against homosexuality. They're against getting shots like COVID. You know, Bill Gates, they know what Billy was up to in Africa. And so anyway, they kind of dropped their big support of Obama at that time. So, and you know, Obama, it's a big lie. So he was coming out and saying, it's great to be homosexual. And maybe that's the time people started looking at Big Mike. Big Mike, you know? Big Mike, come, have a pint, Big Mike. I don't know. If you ever saw that movie called Volunteers with Tom Hanks and John Candy, there's some guy that talks to his knife all the time. His knife is named Mike. Maybe he calls him Big Mike. I don't know, Big Mike, you know? So maybe that's where Michelle Obama got the name, call herself Big Mike. A lot of people are saying they're on the outs, they don't show up together, they don't like each other. I don't know. Michelle Obama, I don't know, I don't find Obama in so many ways to be such a weirdo, but Michelle Obama, definitely. She's right there with Hillary Clinton. I don't know. There's so many. Where do they get all these friggin' wacky friggin' women all over the place? Pelosi, you know, Victoria Nuland, Michelle Obama. It's like, what is it? Ursula von der Leyen, Baerbock, Kaya Kallas. I mean, when does the list ever end? I mean, what a much. And then you have these normal ones like Tulsi Gabbard. As far as I know, Kristi Noem. She's not only really hot. You know, I mean, I think Tulsi Gabbard's pretty hot too. But Kristi Noem, wow. You know, But anyway, they got some of these normal ones, and these ones don't get reported. So you get all these crazy ones. It's like, what the? I mean, talk about destroying the image of women. Man, oh man. And then you get these, like, who's this Jasmine Crockett? She comes right out of that movie Idiocracy. I mean, gosh, you know, if you guys haven't seen Idiocracy, you got to see Idiocracy. She could fit right in there. My God, you know. And these people how do they make it into friggin' Congress? How in the heck do they get people to vote for them? I mean, what are the constituents? What are these constituents? Who are the people that vote for these people? I can't believe it. Of course, nobody voted for Ursula von der Leyen. But you know, Kaya Kallas, she used to be the prime minister of Estonia. And people must have voted for her. I don't think anybody has ever voted for Baerbock, except for maybe some of those bunky that her clients maybe in the WEF. I don't even know. You know, I say no more. But who else are these like the Democratic Party? I mean, they're destroying themselves. It makes you wonder, why don't they just come up with some sanity and crap like that? And then they got immigration, and then they're immigrating like even criminals, people that have raped and then murdered, and they want them all in the streets. So you got the helping hand of George Soros with his DAs, and they got these judges, and they keep letting these people go on the streets. You know, nevertheless, they raped boys and crap like that. And even pedophilia. It's MAPS. They're called MAPS, minor attracted persons. Oh, but they're just victims of society. They need to go and enjoy. What did George Bush say at that time? You know, that gynecologists need to do something with women. I don't remember what it was, but boy, pedophilias and stuff like that. And I tell you what, I worked in a prison, and guess where I worked? I worked probably the majority of my time. I worked in different places, but the majority of the time I worked in the sexual offenders department. I didn't fit right in. I'm just kidding. But anyway, I worked there, and there's I don't know. I could tell you some of the stuff these people are accused of, and some of these things that would make you sick. You don't even want to hear it. It's like, can you imagine that somebody did such things? I might have mentioned them on some other videos, but it's like what? But anyway, for the most part, a lot of these people, there's one guy, and his name was Johnson, and a lot of us he's a prisoner, and a lot of us correctional officers, we didn't look at that guy as so bad. He had a girl, and he even had pictures of her, and I guess maybe they put him as a pedophile. I think she was underage. She might have been like 17 or whatever. He had pictures of her, and it wasn't like, I don't know, and he was not a bad guy at all. And I don't know, maybe the fact, I'm trying to remember. I remember, and I don't remember how young I was. And even though I didn't do anything, there was one girl. Once I went out with a friend, and there was a place, you go cruising, people park their cars, women and guys, all kinds of young people. I can't remember what it was called back in Ballard, I guess, in Washington State. And there was some hot young girl, and I thought, wow, she is really something. And then you find out she's like, I don't know, was she 14? If it's 13, I wouldn't want to admit it. But luckily, I don't know, nothing really happened. Definitely nothing happened. So, with me and her, look at me right now. I was much younger back then. I was like, when was that? Back in 19. I was still older. I was 17 or 18 at the time, and I was still like, she's 3 or 4 years younger than me. I didn't think so much of it. I was just saying, a little bit too. Back in those days, a couple of years made a difference. Nowadays, 10 years, as long as they're legal, of course. And then I was in a country like the country I was in before I came here. The age of consent is 13. So I don't, and like I mentioned that in other videos, I don't really understand. Look, I wasn't getting into anything like that. And it's like, what do? Do I go around and ask people, what does that mean? Does that mean that it's okay to have sex with a girl that is 13 years old? Or I don't know. Because I don't know what age of consent. Maybe it's with another 13 or 14-year-old or something, or somebody that's under 21. I have no idea, but it sounds strange. Age of consent. I don't know. Do they have that sort of a thing in every country? What a topic. Anyway, what I was trying to get at, and you look at even a lot of these girls, like the one with Prince Andrew and the photos on Epstein Island. Definitely young. He probably shouldn't have been doing that. I don't know how young he was. Oh, they're going to probably start up again. But anyhow, it's not quite right, but I don't look at it as super bad. But apparently, I don't know how young some of these girls were, and it's not good, like I'm saying, especially since the main fact is that they were all young, and that all these men that were going there wanted really young girls, and I'm betting some of them were much younger than that. Anyway, so gotta keep going here, even though it's not a lot that I'm talking about here. There's not much going on. It was a nice sunny day. It's starting to get warm now. It was really cold this morning. People wearing winter coats. Some of these guys, I don't know. Girl there, see, she's wearing a winter coat. Anyway, some guy looking at me all the whole time over here. I should show him. He's sitting over here, and he's looking out the door, looking right at me all the time. So, anyway. But anyway, these Democrats, part of their platform is to let these murderers and pedophiles, minor attracted persons, let them go on the streets. And it's like, even in the prisons, they weren't really respected back then. And I tell you what, I saw more than I heard of. I heard of some really sick stuff in the prisons. I think I even mentioned, I'm pretty sure, about some guy who was like, I think he was like 17 or whatever, what he did to his 2-month-old daughter. I mentioned that. I don't know. You guys can imagine. And then there was a guy with photos of cut off male external organs. How did he get them in the prison in the first place? I don't know. Apparently he had some photos, and where in the heck did those come from? It makes you really wonder what kind of crazy. How did this guy get these things? How did he get them in the prison? And how come these things friggin' exist? I'll tell you what. There's a word, and you hear about this stuff I've been talking about in a lot of my videos about Ukraine. I maybe I shouldn't go into them now. If you subscribe and put the like button, I talk about them periodically in my videos, and I'll talk about it again. And a lot of this stuff is put out, and if anything you can imagine, you can bet it has happened. And then you hear there was like this bodyguard of this Diddy guy. who's this guy, this Diddy or Doodoo or whatever his name is, who had these parties and he was filming all these people. I think lots of drugs and sex and stuff. I think he raped his girlfriend. Makes you wonder. I don't know. Was it his girlfriend at that time? You rape your girlfriend. It seems like, I guess that's possible. It really is. I guess it's even possible to rape your wife when they're. Anyway, that's not my deal. I don't know. I'm not going to get into that. But anyway, this Diddy, and he like filmed this stuff. What's his wife? Was his wife or his girlfriend? Her name is Ventura. I saw that. I saw her name somewhere. I don't know. And then she still hangs out with him. And apparently, a lot of these people were coerced to do it. I don't really know this stuff. You'd have to have privy to the information of a lot of this crazy crap that goes on in the world. So, but some of these facts, I think Candace Owens, she goes into some of this stuff too. But she was saying stuff like under the Democrats with this BLM stuff, there were more black people that had some terrible things happen to them. We know where your daughter's doing laundry. We wouldn't want anything to happen to you. I don't mean that kind of stuff. But anyway, like these riots, probably the mostly peaceful riots. I think over 200 people were killed, and it's not even disclosed how many people died in these riots all over. I don't know if that was the same riots for the, what was it, to get rid of the police? What do they call it? Some sort of thing. It's still going on now, I guess. All this Democrat crap, amazing crap on top of crap. And at least people are probably understanding this. And disband the police, whatever that is. They had that city, that little area in Seattle. They were called, what is it? They had some name for it, SCAF or something like that, or SHAF. I have no idea. And but anyway, and no police there or something like. I don't know. But J.D. Vance gave some speech. I guess there's still people trying to go around and disband the police or whatever this kind of crap is. That was a big Democrat thing too. I think it was AOC. She was on top of all that thing too. Boy, what a bunch of knuckleheads! It's just too funny. You can't even comment on this stuff in videos at all. But I even mentioned that one time. There was in Portland. It was in Portland, Oregon. There was a chief of police. He was black, and his officers were black, and they were sent, I think, to do something to police some sort of a protest for Black Lives Matter. And all the people that were protesting for Black Lives Matter, they were all white people, and all the police that are basically to calm these guys down, they were all black. So he was like sitting on this. He was being interviewed. I think he still even had his flag vest on. He was like, what? He was like in a daze. He couldn't believe it. These white people supposedly protesting in favor of blacks against policemen that were all black, and they're all white. Can you imagine this? I'll never forget that. Never forget that. None of you guys should ever forget that either. It's just amazing. This is the United States. Boy, oh boy. Okay. But anyway, a lot of these police, I think, like I said, Candace Owens has been talking a lot about that, and the crime, I think, black crime, even blacks against blacks, and that's mostly how that is. It's even gotten worse. It's gotten worse because officers, even black officers, they are afraid to, to get maybe too forceful with black criminals because they're afraid of their jobs. Wow. And it's still going on. It's really incredible. Why would I even be talking about this? I thought this was over on myself, but I've just seen so much of it. George Floyd. Maybe a lot of this is because it must be an anniversary of George Floyd. A lot of people are talking about this. And it's a very well-known fact. He died of an overdose. He did not die. And I think it was this Crockett. All these people trying to put up this stuff. Everybody knows he died from having a knee on his neck for such and such amount of time. But even before he was down there on the ground, he was saying, I can't breathe. And he was arrested at other times before because he took such a huge amount of fentanyl because he was fearing his arrest. So what he does, he's a friggin' drug dealer. He would take all the drugs to make sure that they couldn't find it on him, And then I guess one of the things when you take this overdose of fentanyl, before it gets really bad, you got to get your stomach pumped. And so he had all this stuff, and he said, I can't breathe, and obviously if anything else, they could take him to some kind of a medical care and, I don't whatever, get his stomach pumped. But they didn't do it at that time, so he died of an overdose. So, hate to break people's bubble, rain on their parade by telling the truth. You look at there's reports out from the coroners and things like that. So, anyway, I already talked about, it's a lot of the stuff I talked about. Trump is radical anyway. He's a radical guy, and obviously we're not going to get anybody really good as a president. I mean, some evil organization that has a lot of money has got to support these people. Like in Trump's case, most of it is Israel. And so the big massacre of the Palestinians and the wars over there is going to continue. Is he actually trying to end this in Ukraine? And there's a lot of people, experts, I guess, coming out. There's one guy, he is from Iran, by the way, and I guess he was saying that the U.S. government is ethno-racist. And it's like, oh, that is fascinating. You know, and you think about it, if you want to hang a jacket or a label on what the heck really does go on, and that really fits, you know. They're ethno-racist. I don't know, that guy's looking at me still. They're against Russians. They're against Iranians. They're, you know, Arabs in general. And what else? Maybe even blacks. They got Bill Gates over there giving his injections in Africa still, probably. India. And it's not the color of your skin, because they hate Russians. They paid Russians probably more. Doesn't matter. They hate Ukrainians. But like I said, this same guy, I'll talk about him. I'll say this before I get to that point, which is very soon. People are watching me. This guy's even smiling over here. I don't know. Why are these people friggin' staring at me? I don't know. Is it my hair? Do I look like one of these types of guys that Obama likes? I don't know. At least those workmen stopped their music over there. So anyway, where am I at here? I don't know where I was at. I distracted myself. Maybe it wasn't so important, but I mentioned that they got these decent women. I don't know, maybe they'll never go anywhere. Tulsi Gabbard or anyway, decent people under Trump. He put a lot of decent people in there. That's where I was at. I was saying he was kind of a radical guy. He certainly is. Obviously he is. I don't know, maybe he believes that the best way to get things done is to first tip over the apple cart and start sorting out which apples are good and which apples are bad. I don't know, wars, everything. So, but he's put a lot of good people involved there. He got RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, Kash Patel, J.D. Vance, and there's a problem. There's a lot more, trying to get rid of all the knuckleheads out of there. But as I was saying, Israel. He supports Israel. I am telling you what, I am positive Israel put him there. You need to get somebody positive. This guy likes to brush off this guy's coat. Anyway, bunch of gay guys. So they got rid of, never mind, I won't talk about that. No, Israel is still massacring people. And it was 2 nights ago, I guess they'd had a big bombing raid. They're bombing lots of people. And I don't know, sometimes are they getting some of their Hamas, whoever they think are evil or whatever? You know, they made everybody, a lot of people think that Hamas is doing all of, I don't know, I tell you what, I don't buy that. There's a lot of Jews that don't buy that. They know a lot of things are fake. So, but anyway, Israel's bombing. A night before last, they bombed one place. They killed, apparently, maybe all innocent people. Maybe there was a Hamas, but they killed virtually everybody. And it was one big family. Was that yesterday? But one bombing raid, they killed over 70 people. Most of them were children. Oh yeah, some really nice guys. Most of them children. And there was, I think, one raid. I don't really know. Like I said, there's one of 70. They killed 70 people. One they destroyed the entire house, killed everybody, the whole family. First response people came there. They couldn't find anybody alive. Everybody was killed, all crushed in the rubble and all that. So I don't know. They didn't say if any of them are supposed to be Hamas or whatever. Yeah. And it makes you really wonder: is Israel out to get Hamas, or are they out to get children? Because nearly every single matter of fact, let me rephrase that. Every single bombing raid is always killing children. Always. It's not like mostly. It's always. Have they ever had a bombing raid where they killed? I mean, they had some assassinations, sure, in like Lebanon and all that. And I don't know if many of them were children or any of them. I don't remember for sure. But in Gaza and everywhere in Palestine, it always children are killed. Wow. Yes. And they had one that was, I think this was this the one yesterday? It was 143 people they killed. And again, mostly children. Okay, last night was the 2-story building with the family, and they killed everybody. I guess the night before was so far 143. There's going to be some people dying of their wounds, of course, as usual. Yeah, and okay, here I have this thing about Jasmine Crockett, Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. What was that movie with Steve Martin? And he met up with some actress, some black girl, and she's one of these types of black girl, and that's that just like Crockett, I don't even know why they act like that. It's a friggin' act. They act. You kiss my black ass. You kiss my black ass. Jeez. Somebody in there laughing. Somebody I guess knows that. That's funny as hell. Anyway, kiss my greasy black ass. I don't know. Anyway, so I don't know. I'm gonna get deleted or kicked off from YouTube. Anyway, some of them talk like that. And that's like this Crockett. That's who she basically bred out of Idiocracy. Anyway, so in Ukraine, I was talking about this. It's the former prime minister of Ukraine, Mykola Azarov. He put out that his sources in the Ukrainian government tell him that Zelensky's plan is to sabotage. That's why he was so agreeable when Trump said, "I advise that you go and you negotiate with Russia in Istanbul." And so he said, okay, he's going to do that. And it's really strange. It's like when they were supposed to meet, the day that it was even announced by Erdogan, by everybody, Ukraine never showed up. And it's like an hour and a half, mostly plane ride from Kiev to Istanbul. Maybe it's 1 hour, I don't know. And for like how many days they still couldn't get their team there. And then then he put his team together, I guess. Zelensky bad-mouthing the whole time. Says, Russia's not serious. Look at these low-level people that they put there. Nothing but excuses, and all this bad-mouthing endlessly. That's like he's always, Putin's got a trick up his sleeve. Oh, he wants to do this. He's going to do that. I mean, the guy... Anyway, it's like... And a lot of people, I think, are just really sick of this guy. I'm sure that all the Russians are they're just sick of Zelensky and his crap. He just comes out with his crap. And then he was demanding that Putin go himself, that Putin goes there. So Zelensky was there, and he was there, I don't know for what reason. Then he went to, I think, Azerbaijan after Turkey, and he was saying, Putin is scared of me. He's afraid of me. He won't do this. And of course, even Zelensky's people, as well as the Russians and even Americans, are saying it's not done that way. You got to negotiate something first. You just can't have these two meet. Nothing is going to be accomplished. And of course, Ukraine scuttled the first one back in 2022. And it's Ukraine that's not serious. And then a lot of people saying, oh, Russia demands too much. Well, what about Ukraine? Well, who was the one that started all this stuff? And they're trying to make it look like, that was the whole idea, to make a provocation, to make it look like Russia was the one starting it. But it was Ukraine. It was Ukraine doing that. Banning the Russian language. I mean, that's just history. I'd have to go into another video to be talking about this. It would be like 5 hours long to be talking about all the background and why this stuff started. You guys know that, and then watching this. I don't know if there's any new people. You got to look that up yourself and find out how it really started, what's really all about this. So anyway, but this prime minister, he said, from his sources, people that are maybe close to Zelensky, said that Zelensky's plan is to sabotage. Of course, he feels like, he's going to act like he's He wants peace. He wants Trump to think that he's, or at least to make it look like he wants peace, but he's doing everything to sabotage that. Obviously, one of them is he didn't even send a delegation there at all, and he knew long in advance when that day is. He didn't assign any people, and it's really strange. The people he finally did decide on, oh, they're some of the same people that were there in 2022, negotiators. So he's just coming up with excuses over and over again. That's one way to sabotage it, obviously. And this guy said, this former prime minister, he said, peace is like a prison with Zelensky. That's his words. And he says that Zelensky's afraid of the unknown negative consequences. He will have to hold elections. Obviously, there's probably a very good chance he will not be elected. I think so many people are so sick of him. But you would think, well, maybe if they thought, okay, well, there's peace here, then I'm not going to be dragged off the streets, mobbed by, normally it's five recruiting officers thrown into a van and sent to the meat grinder to die, to cannon fodder. So, I don't know. Anyway, he probably won't win. So he will be getting far less money flowing into Ukraine, and it's a known fact that most of that money, where it is supposed to go, it does not go. It goes to who knows where, many places. And Zelensky comes out and says, oh, it's all accounted for, but he can't account for it. So where's the paperwork? Oh, he just doesn't happen to have that right away, And this prime minister said that Zelensky's own people will tear him apart. Even if he goes for peace, if he gets peace, his own people. Well, what does that mean? Does that mean the people of Ukraine? No, it means the friggin' Nazis. The Nazis will tear him apart. They do not want peace. They've said you do not go for peace, because peace would entail that he would have to lose those territories, and they're not going to go for that. They would rather see the entire country, all the way to the last Ukrainian, everybody killed before they would go with that. They're big on ideology, not big on brains. They're like gorilla brains or something. They're worse than gorilla brains. Gorillas probably are pretty smart. Pigs are pretty smart. Even dogs are smarter than some of these guys. Jeez. Some of these Nazis, you see this, like Budanov and all this kind of stuff. They try to act like they're clever, but they have a based on total. They belong in idiocracy too. Maybe they can marry this Crockett woman or something. And then there was, let's see, Trump. Let's go. Let's shift gears. Let's go somewhere else. Trump. He's talking again about the development. What he wants. I don't know if he's trolling. Nobody knows when Trump is trolling. The F-47, meaning the 47th president. The first sixth generation fighter or whatever, when they haven't even mastered the F-35. And of course, he's now talking about upgrading the F-35. Why don't they get it to work? His upgrade is to have two engines. Because two engines are better than one, he said. Okay. Yeah. And then he's going to have, I think he's going to call it the F-55. I think that's what he said. And then there was, I'm almost done here. So I have to make this shorter than 1 hour. Like talking about upload time. Gosh, it's turned into a nightmare for me. I tell you what, I'm thinking I'm going to delete a whole bunch of my old videos. I don't know if that is the one that's causing my videos to take like 20 hours to download for 1 hour video. I don't know. Anyway, like I said, I want to end this fairly quick, so I'll hurry up here. A Hungarian strategist says that Zelensky, he calls it brilliant. He says he uses whining, like Zelensky, always whining and crying, as a brilliant strategy. I don't know if this really worked, but as you notice, that's really true. Zelensky, the entire time, all he does for years is he whines and he cries. He's whining and crying. Oh, thank you very much, but I need more. We're so humble, Mr. Macabre. We're so humble, from David Copperfield, gosh, Uriah Heep. So he does this sort of stuff and thanks you and all this sort of stuff, and then he goes back there and starts whining and crying that they didn't send enough. So when he gets a good amount, then he says, okay, thank you very much. He goes back. A couple of months later, he goes on a begging tour all around the world. It makes you really wonder. Would you want to have a country that the entire, everything about the country, and I tell you what, you can go back to the Soviet Union almost, and it's very sad, and it might be in the culture of a lot of these upper elites in Ukraine, of whining and crying and begging and demanding more and more and more. They've never ever been self-sufficient. And it's like, I'll tell you what, I don't know. You would find people that said, oh, you need to drop a nuclear bomb and get rid of all of them. But I'll tell you what, I'm sure there's a huge amount of Ukrainians that are not really into this. And of course, a lot of those definitely in the East are not part of this stuff. And they're very, very, very relieved to get away from Ukraine. Of course, in the South. But all of these are called ethnic Russians. I don't know. Ethnic Russians. The first time that they called people Russians were those people that are in Kiev. The Kievan times, back in maybe the year, right around the time of the Battle of Hastings, 1066 or 1070 or something. What was it? Igor the Wise. I don't know. They had some of these people that were ruling the Kievan dynasties back in those days. But those are the first Russians. And I repeat, Russians. Those were Russians in Kiev. Kievan Rus and all that. That's when they got the word Russian. Anyway, a lot of crazy history. Anyway. Well, anyway, another F-16, I guess, had malfunctioned and crashed or something like that in Ukraine. So, but anyway, don't worry. They're going to get a huge amount, maybe from Donald Trump. I don't know. Who's got F-16s? I don't think they disclosed on who is going to be sending a lot of these F-16s. But of course, obviously, the ceasefire, that was supposed to be a major part of it. During the ceasefire, where Russia would be excluded from doing any bombing, and they were going to flood F-16s and weapons long range, the United States included, 125 kilometer long range things, the Taurus missiles from Germany. It was the perfect plan. And then Vladimir Putin had to come and say, that's probably one reason why Zelensky is whining and crying right now. Destroyed his dream of getting this ceasefire to flood the place with weapons. And Vladimir Putin destroyed that by saying, we need direct negotiations. And I don't know. So maybe Donald Trump, he's not maybe so bad because he said, yeah, let's do this thing. I don't know. He sends out mixed signals, as everybody says. But anyway, that's about all for now. Like I said, I'm going to see how fast this downloads. I'm maybe in an area where it actually was downloading somewhat fast. Hey, as a matter of fact, I'll tell you what. If I look over the way there, I see a TV tower. Let me think. I'll tell you what. That might be the same TV tower. This is one metro stop further from that other place where I seem to get faster down uploads. But I tell you what, 20 hours, I think maybe even 22 hours, that's just ridiculous for 1 hour video. So anyway, luckily it is less than 1 hour. And of course that takes most of the juice away from my phone. Well, if it was 1 hour, it takes 60% of my battery power. Anyway. Maybe I'll try to find a place so I can charge my battery. I brought my charger this time. Mama didn't raise no dummy. So, anyway, thanks for joining me, you guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.